What I'm about to share with you is something I never expected to report in my career. Just hours ago, information surfaced that has already sent shockwaves through several institutions, revealing a financial collapse that is being desperately concealed behind the walls of Montecito. A secret emergency summit has ended in total catastrophe. We have received credible reports of a brutal, four-word ultimatum delivered by the future King of England to his brother, a directive that marks the end of an era. Cancel the transfer, and then the devastating clarifier that reportedly shattered Prince Harry's last hope: we are not your ATM. Before we continue, please subscribe. Prince Harry, reportedly drowning in a $36 million ocean of debt, reached out to the one man who could save him, his brother, Prince William. He asked for a royal bailout to salvage his crumbling American empire. William didn't just say no, he gave him an eviction notice. Today, the royal feud has moved from the tabloids to the balance sheet, and the walls are closing in on Montecito. Tyler Perry has reportedly closed the Bank of the Godfather. Netflix is allegedly demanding a $20 million refund for failed content. And now, a furious Prince William has blocked the funds, delivering a directive to the Sussexes regarding their estate: sell the house. Do not look away. What follows is an exposure of the secret duchy audit that made William slam the door. We will reveal the 10 a.m. insurance nightmare that triggered a foreclosure panic and explain why the future king refuses to save Harry from the white elephant that is bleeding him dry. The checkbook is closed. The truth is open. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because this story is developing rapidly, and what you're about to hear is not being explained clearly anywhere else. Let me be absolutely clear. This is not speculation. What I have in front of me are details regarding official documents obtained through a formal investigation into the Sussex financial structure. We are looking at mortgage contracts, insurance stipulations, and a private assessment known as the Duchy Audit. This wasn't a family spat. This was an accounting of debts that simply cannot be paid. Investigators uncovered something deeply concerning regarding the physical security of the asset itself. The moment the American dream transformed into a financial catastrophe can be traced to a single morning delivery. It was reportedly 10 a.m. yesterday when a courier arrived at the service entrance of the Riven Rock estate. Prince Harry likely opened the thin envelope, expecting positive news, perhaps a residual payment from a publishing deal or a new production offer. Instead of a check, he found a notice of non-renewal for their homeowner's insurance. For an ordinary homeowner, this represents an inconvenience. But in the wildfire-prone hills of California, where major insurers like State Farm and Allstate are abandoning the state entirely, this constitutes a financial death sentence. Harry immediately contacted his financial advisors, only to receive confirmation of a warning Prince William had reportedly issued years earlier. There exists a kill switch buried deep within the fine print of their $9.5 million mortgage contract known as the default clause. Because the bank legally holds the majority stake in that property, they require the asset to maintain full insurance coverage around the clock. The moment the policy lapses, the loan is technically considered in default. The terrifying reality is that the bank does not need to wait for a missed monthly payment. Without active insurance, the lender possesses the legal authority to foreclose immediately to protect their collateral. This wasn't negligence. This wasn't confusion. This was a deliberate contractual tripwire that Harry walked right into. Suddenly, he found himself fighting a war on three fronts: a lender demanding coverage, a godfather demanding repayment, and a property market that had turned its back on him. Panic set in quickly. In the current market, securing a new force-placed policy for a $14 million estate with extreme fire risk requires massive upfront liquidity, hundreds of thousands of dollars, that Harry simply does not have available right now. Desperate for a solution, Harry made the call to London. He needed a bridge loan. He needed the Bank of Dad or the Bank of Wills to cover the premium. But the voice on the other end of the line was not reaching for a checkbook. According to palace insiders, Prince William offered no sympathy. He offered a brutal assessment. Instead, William reportedly questioned why Harry had purchased a property requiring industrial-level maintenance in a climate zone he fundamentally did not understand. William saw what Harry could not. The Riven Rock estate was never a palace. It was a white elephant, a legendary term for a gift that destroys the recipient with the cost of its upkeep. And as William opened the duchy audit on the screen in front of him, he began to list exactly why this house was never an asset, but always a trap. Prince William did not reject the bailout out of anger. He rejected it out of arithmetic. As the new Duke of Cornwall, William now manages a billion-dollar property portfolio. He understands the difference between an asset and a liability with precision. According to sources close to the situation, William's duchy audit of his brother's life revealed a terrifying truth. When Harry and Meghan purchased the Shadow of Riven Rock for $14.65 million, they believed they were buying a palace. What they actually bought was a white elephant, a term used in real estate for a property so massive and expensive to maintain that it devours its owner's wealth. William reportedly pointed out the dark history of the estate. Before Harry held the keys, the house belonged to Sergei Grishin, a Russian oligarch with a notorious reputation. Real estate insiders in Santa Barbara had whispered for years that the place was cursed with stagnant energy. But William understands the real curse is not supernatural, it is structural. He dissected the property details with brutal precision. The estate has 9 bedrooms and 16 bathrooms. To a prince raised with an understanding of efficiency, this is madness. William reportedly asked the question that no one in Harry's circle dared to ask. Why do 2 people need 16 toilets? In the eyes of a property manager, 16 bathrooms does not mean luxury. It means 16 potential leaks, 16 sets of plumbing requiring constant surveillance, and 16 points of failure. A house of this size is a living, breathing beast that needs to be fed cash daily just to keep the pipes running. Then there is the water issue. William, a dedicated environmentalist, was reportedly appalled by the landscaping costs. In a drought-prone state like California, keeping 7 acres of lush English-style gardens green is not just environmentally controversial, it is financial suicide. Analysts estimate the water bill for Riven Rock could easily rival an average worker's annual salary. Harry is literally pouring liquidity into the ground just to keep the grass green for Oprah to see. But the audit did not stop at utility bills. William pointed to the hidden costs that never appeared on the brochure. The annual property taxes alone exceed $200,000. That is a check Harry has to write every single year, regardless of whether Netflix renews his contract or not. This is the fundamental tragedy of Prince Harry that William is trying to teach him. Harry was raised in palaces where the lights were always on, the heating was always fixed, and the bills were paid by an invisible hand, the duchy. He had zero concept of the operational costs required to keep a beast like Riven Rock alive. William's verdict was harsh, but necessary. He sees that Harry traded the constraints of the monarchy for the shackles of a mortgage. Harry did not realize that the bank is a far crueler master than the institution. The king might forgive a breach of protocol, but the taxman will never forgive a missed payment. By blocking the bailout, William is not just saving money. He is refusing to subsidize a lifestyle that is mathematically impossible to sustain. He knows that pouring $36 million into that house is like pouring water into a bucket with no bottom. And the biggest leak in that bucket was not the plumbing. It was the people Harry trusted most. Because just as the house began to crumble, the one man holding up the roof decided to walk away. If the crumbling infrastructure of the Riven Rock estate was a headache, what was happening behind the scenes with Tyler Perry was a heart attack. Prince William did not just warn Harry about the plumbing. He warned him about the people. For years, the public narrative has been carefully curated to paint Tyler Perry as the benevolent godfather to baby Lilibet, a spiritual guide offering wisdom and shelter. And initially, that was true. When the Sussexes fled Canada, Perry sent his $150 million private jet to pick them up and provided a security detail that rivaled the Secret Service. But Prince William, seasoned in the transactional nature of high society friendships, reportedly saw what Harry missed. The boundary between friendship and finance had begun to blur. According to sources close to the situation, the Godfather relationship had evolved into a silent subsidy. Perry was not just providing emotional support, he was reportedly underwriting a significant portion of their operational costs. But Tyler Perry is a man who built a billion-dollar empire from the ground up. He understands the visceral difference between charity and a bad investment. The breaking point was not a sudden explosion. It was a slow, agonizing realization found in the ledger. Insiders suggest that Perry began to notice a disturbing pattern that Prince William had also criticized. While Perry was allegedly covering the boring but essential bills, like the massive cost of 24/7 security, Harry and Meghan were spending their own liquidity on optics, private flights, couture wardrobes, and PR firms. They were living the lifestyle of billionaires on a millionaire's budget, with Perry filling the gap. He felt his generosity had been transformed into an expectation, a permanent crutch for a couple who refused to walk on their own. The loss of Perry's support is visible to anyone driving past the gates of Riven Rock. For the first 2 years, the perimeter of the mansion was patrolled by what looked like a paramilitary force, former SAS officers and top-tier protection agents that cost millions of dollars a year. It was the kind of intimidation that screams head of state. But recently, neighbors and intelligence reports have noticed a stark change in the atmosphere. The elite intimidating guards seem to have vanished. They have been replaced by local security firms. Competent, yes, but significantly cheaper. Prince William likely views this security downgrade as the most telling sign of the financial freeze. When you start cutting corners on your physical safety after preaching to the world that you are the most threatened couple on earth, it suggests the bank account is bleeding faster than it can be replenished. Perry did not just pull his security team, he sent a message. The days of the informal arrangement were over. Sources describe a phone call between Harry and Perry that was brief and brutal. When Harry allegedly tried to play the family card, invoking Perry's role in their daughter's life to seek an extension on the support, he hit a stone wall. Perry effectively closed the bank of the Godfather. He signaled that gratitude is a currency and the Sussexes had defaulted on their payments. William used this collapse to deliver a stinging critique during the summit. He reportedly told Harry that even his Hollywood friends have realized he is a liability. If a billionaire will not back him, why should the duchy? Harry is now fully exposed to the harsh elements of the American economy. But just as the Godfather walked away, the other pillar of their financial temple, Netflix, decided it was time to collect their debt too. If the Riven Rock estate is the white elephant draining their bank account, then Netflix was supposed to be the endless river of cash, keeping it alive. But Prince William knows something about rivers. Eventually, they run dry. And during the emergency summit, the second pillar of Harry's bailout proposal crumbled under scrutiny. To understand the sheer panic currently gripping the Sussex household and the fury of the Prince of Wales, you have to understand the nature of the $20 million demand. Prince Harry and Meghan reportedly operated under a fatal misunderstanding of how Hollywood actually works. They believed the $100 million headline was a signing bonus, a reward simply for being who they are. But in the brutal boardrooms of Los Gatos, there are no gifts. There are only recoupable advances. When Netflix handed over that initial tranche of millions, it was an advance against future content. It was money paid with the expectation of hit series, documentaries, and scripted shows. But as William reviewed the output ledger, the results were catastrophic. Aside from the initial docu-series, which was essentially a retelling of their royal exit, the pipeline has been empty. High-profile projects like Pearl, Meghan's animated series, were quietly axed before they even saw the light of day. This lack of productivity did not just annoy executives, It triggered a specific line in the contract known as the clawback clause. Sources indicate that Netflix is arguing a breach of deliverables. Essentially, they are saying they paid the Sussexes to produce, they did not produce, and now they want their advance back. That figure is estimated at $20 million. For a couple whose liquidity is already being swallowed by a $14 million mansion, this is not just a debt, it is a catastrophe. Harry was likely banking on the next Netflix installment to pay the mortgage and the $200,000 annual property tax bill. Now, instead of a check, he is facing a potential lawsuit. But it was not the debt that made William furious. It was the insult, the turning point. The moment the Whisper Network turned into a public shout came from Bill Simmons, a top executive at Spotify. When the couple's multi-million-dollar deal with that streaming giant collapsed, Simmons did not issue a polite press release. He took to his own podcast and delivered the insult that has now become their defining label. He famously raged about the grifters. This was not just a harsh insult. It was a professional verdict. And for Prince William, the future king, hearing the brother of the monarch labeled a grifter was a humiliation that the crown could not tolerate. The grifter label hardened into a narrative that stripped away the last layers of varnish from the Sussex brand. They were no longer viewed as the brave couple escaping a toxic monarchy. They were viewed as an entitled duo living beyond their means on other people's money. Harry reportedly pleaded with William during the summit, arguing that a public lawsuit with Netflix would be a disaster for the royal family's image. He essentially asked William to use the duchy's funds to settle the Netflix debt quietly, a private loan to make the problem go away. But William's response was reportedly icy. He refused to let the Duchy of Cornwall, a historic fund dedicated to public works and the heritage of the land, be used to pay for failed cartoons and Hollywood breach of contract fines. William reportedly told Harry that the duchy is for the people, not for his producers. This sentiment has bled directly into their relationship with Netflix. Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, is running a business that answers to shareholders, not royalty. He cannot justify writing off tens of millions of dollars for phantom producers who show up for photo ops but fail to deliver scripts. The demand for the $20 million refund effectively freezes their cash flow. And without that cash flow, the white elephant in Montecito goes from being a burden to being a foreclosure risk. Harry is now fighting a war on two fronts, a lender demanding coverage for the house and a media giant demanding repayment for work never completed. He thought his biggest enemy was the British tabloids. He was wrong. His enemy is the actuarial table. William has made his position clear. The bank of Dad is closed. The bank of Wills is closed. And now, with no money coming in and creditors banging on the door, William delivered the final, crushing piece of advice that serves as the climax of this investigation. He did not offer a check. He offered a solution. One that would end the American dream immediately. The emergency summit did not end with a bank transfer. It ended with a directive. Prince William, having reviewed the duchy audit and the terrifying reality of the default clause, reportedly delivered the 4 words that Harry has been dreading since he left London: sell the house. William made it clear there will be no $36 million bailout. There will be no secret loan from the duchy. The solution is not to pour more water into the bucket. The solution is to get rid of the bucket. William is effectively forcing Harry to accept the one thing he has been running from: downsizing. But here is the catch that makes this situation a true thriller. They cannot just put a for sale sign on the lawn. William knows and Harry knows that if a standard for sale sign appeared at the gates of Riven Rock, the global press would smell blood. It would be a public admission of defeat, confirming to the world that the financial independence narrative has officially collapsed. So, acting on what insiders believe is William's advice to liquidate quietly, the Sussexes have chosen the shadows. They have initiated the one thing that signals absolute desperation in the real estate world: the pocket listing. For those outside the real estate game, A pocket listing is when a property is sold off-market with no public online listing and no open houses. Usually, this is done for privacy, but in this case, real estate insiders call it the equivalent of a distress flare. They are trying to outrun the sheriff. They need to liquidate the asset before the lawsuit hits and before the bank can foreclose. But the most humiliating part of William's verdict is not that they have to sell. It is who they have to sell to. William reportedly pointed out that they cannot sell to their A-list friends in Montecito. Why? Because in Montecito, they have become untouchable, and not in a good way. As the financial walls closed in around Riven Rock, a far colder front was moving in from Los Angeles. The Hollywood freeze out. According to industry insiders, the atmosphere shifted dramatically following a crisis meeting at the headquarters of WME, the powerhouse agency representing Meghan. The message delivered to the couple was reportedly stark. You are becoming radioactive. Tinseltown runs on success. It forgives scandals, but it does not forgive failure. As news of the Tyler Perry debt and the Netflix clawback spread, the phone lines at the Montecito mansion began to go silent. The A-list was not just ignoring them. They were actively running away to avoid the fallout. This social isolation is visible at the exclusive San Vicente Bungalows, a private club where deals are made in hushed tones. Harry and Meghan, once the guests of honor, are now reportedly the people you avoid eye contact with. Why? Because everyone in that room knows about the mortgage. Everyone knows about the Tyler Perry ultimatum, and no one wants to be the next friend asked for a bridge loan. In a town where image is currency, debt is a contagious disease. The invitations to the galas are drying up, not because people hate them, but because people fear the stench of failure. So, William's verdict stands. They cannot turn to their neighbors. They have to sell to a stranger, a faceless entity that sees the white elephant merely as a line item on a spreadsheet. The mansion is allegedly being quietly shopped to foreign investors and syndicates, buyers from overseas who have liquid cash and do not care about Hollywood gossip. The trucks are not coming to bring new furniture. They are coming to take it away. The pocket listing is their last desperate attempt to exit with dignity before the public foreclosure notices are stapled to the gate. Prince William has denied the bailout. He has ordered the sale, and he has left Harry with a brutal lesson. You can leave the royal family, but you cannot leave the laws of economics. The Bank of Wills is closed forever. As Harry stands on that balcony, looking out at the view he is about to lose, he must face the final crushing question. Where do they go when the keys are handed over? As the sun sets over the Pacific, we are left with a haunting image. Prince Harry standing on that $14 million balcony, looking out at the view that was supposed to be his freedom. But down below, the moving truck is idling. Prince William's refusal to grant the $36 million bailout teaches us a profound and brutal truth about independence. We often confuse lifestyle with life. Harry and Meghan chased the private jets and the mansions, believing these things defined their success. But they forgot the golden rule. You are only as free as your bank account allows you to be. True freedom is not about escaping a monarchy only to enslave yourself to a mortgage and a billionaire's patience. From my perspective here on this channel, this is a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. A story of Icarus flying too close to the Hollywood sun, fueled by debt and defiance. The irony is crushing. They wanted to prove they did not need the crown, but in the end, they proved exactly why they did. The crown provided a safety net. The real world only provides an eviction notice. William did not burn the bridge out of malice. He burned it to stop them from running back into a burning building. He knows that sometimes the only way to save someone is to let them fall. Now, the final verdict belongs to you. Was Prince William right to block the bailout and force them to sell the house? Or is this a cruel abandonment of a brother in need? Type Team William if you support his tough love approach. Type Team Harry if you think a brother should always help no matter the cost. If you believe that financial accountability comes for us all, even princes, Please hit that like button. It helps us share these hard truths. And make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because when that moving truck finally pulls away from the Montecito gates, you will want to be here to see where it goes. The experiment is over. See you in the next one.